everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Watch Me Work, and this is actually an older video. This is a neon ombre with splatter detail along with some Swarovski accents. I love this set, and actually this is on my mom in case y'all didn't know. And this set was for our vacation a few months ago, so yeah, it's an older video. So this is our previous set, if you remember. Oh, I love this set. This is when it was freshly done. It's this monochromatic look. I have a video on this look in case you're interested. And this is that same set after 3 weeks. It looks so good still. The flowers are all there. They're not dingy. The mat looks great. So first I'm going to start off by removing the previous design. And I'm using the Red Baron bit from Atwood Industries. And I'm using it on a very high speed. You want to use this bit at least 20,000 RPMs or higher. I know it sounds scary to work that high, but you really need to so that it can cut through everything. If it goes any slower, it's really just going to have way more friction and cause heat. So you want to keep that high. So, and that just eats through these flowers. And of course, this is sped up, but it really is amazing. Now this nail, I'm going ahead and I'm taking it all the way off. She wanted to, I think she had a C-curve tip. Like I said, this video is a little bit older. I think she had a C-curve tip and didn't like it and wanted a tip that actually kind of curved down, like a more natural curve of a nail. So I went ahead and took that nail all the way down, and I'm just filing the product all the way down. I don't really do soak-offs, honestly, guys. I've probably done one in the past year and a half, 2 years or something. Like when I like to file everything all the way down, but I feel very comfortable using an e-file, so it's fine with me. If you don't feel comfortable using an e-file, file the product as low as possible and then go ahead and soak. That's going to save you a lot of time. Now, I went ahead and filed all the product down, and I'm going in and I'm shaping the nails right now. The reason that I'm shaping the nail right now is because we're going to be doing a permanent design, which is going to be our ombre. Now, because I did cut the length of her nails down, and they have grown out, the shape is not the same as it was 3 weeks ago. So I need to regain that shape. So once we apply our ombre to the nail, we're not filing it away because we're trying to bring in the sides and narrow them and ending up filing away some of the nude or some of the pink. So go ahead, if you're going to do a permanent design, no matter if it's an ombre or some type of French or cutout, something like that. If you're going to do a permanent design, go ahead and try to regain your shape as much as possible beforehand. It is an extra step, but it does matter. I'm not saying it has to be 100% perfect right now, but it needs to be very similar to what your final product is going to be. So now I'm just taking the Poochie's Nails, a smooth top bit and a fine grit, and I'm going ahead and I'm taking the acrylic down even further because this is a less aggressive bit. So I'm not using that Red Baron bit all the way to the natural nail. Now I know that it does look scary, but her nail is perfectly safe and fine. There's still product on the nail because now I'm going in with the crosscut bit. And this bit is basically like a sanding band except in metal form. It can be used on the natural nail. Just you have to make sure you don't dig into the natural nail, that you are not using a sharp corner and causing any rings, and not using the bit too fast because, of course, that can take off a lot of the natural nail. So that bit helps me get even closer to the natural nail. Now, this isn't 100% just bare the natural nail. You can see there's still product on the natural nail, but very minimal. It's not going to get in the way of our ombre by any means. So next, I'm going in with the skiver bit. That's per usual. And I'm using this bit as flush to the natural nail as possible. And I'm getting off the dead skin from the nail plate, which is the cuticle. Now I'm going in with this round bit. And I'm using this to remove that dead skin that we flaked up and just kind of buff out any of that rough eponychium, or what we like to informally call the cuticle. So next I'm going in with a hand file and just kind of removing some more product, getting it even lower in areas I feel that need it. So you can see I'm going back and forth. Again, it looks like it's straight her natural nail, and it's not, I promise. So I'm just showing the difference in the two tips. The clear one that's closest to the screen is a C-curve bit she did have, and she just didn't care for it. She doesn't really like a C-curve. And the other bit, the other tip curves down. It doesn't really have a crazy C-curve, and it kind of curves more like her natural nail. So you can see down the barrel of the tips the difference. So it was preference for her, and she, that's what she wanted. She's my mom. She gets what she wants. So I didn't put me applying the tip. I just glued it down. I cut the sides with a little scissor, and I'm going in and getting the shape together because we need to have that shape as close as possible so we don't file away our ombre. So I'm just blending in the tip with the natural nail so we don't have any noticeable ridge line. And then I'm just going ahead and smoothing any of that remaining acrylic. I want to make sure when you're doing this, when you're applying a new tip, that you get the product at least off of the tip of the nail where it's going to be glued, so you don't have a problem with adhesion. So this is the color we're going with. It's called Pink Cadillac from Diva Collection. And I do apologize, they do not make this color anymore. Well, this whole brand they don't make anymore. There is a Valentino Beauty Pure color that is pretty similar to it, and I don't know the number right now. If I remember, I'll go ahead and put it down below. So you see I'm using the YoungNails Cover Pink, Tammy Taylor Liquid, and then the Tammy Taylor Clear Powder. So this is what we swatched to try to figure out which colors we're going to use. We have our nudes, we had our pinks, and we went in and decided that we were going to use these two colors. We wanted to have a good contrast with the undertone of this it's like a hot coral, a bright neon coral color with the cover color. So we didn't want it to both be like too pink. We wanted to, again, to have that contrast. So that peach in this color, the peachy tone of the cover pink, it's not cover peach, but it still has a peach tone. I'm sorry if that's confusing, but it did have a really good peach tone to it, and that kind of contrasted with this a little bit and made it stand out to make sure we have a very good ombre, very noticeable. And it's neon, so it was going to be obnoxious anyway to a degree. So you can see I'm taking this color. Now, I did not put a clear base because there was still some clear remaining on the nail for the most part. You can put a very thin layer of clear. It's recommended because you'll be trying to file this color all the way back down to the natural nail. And that's not what you want. You kind of want to have a base of clear that you can file down to. But like I said, some of them had some clear left, so we went with that. Oh, I do want to add, I use prep products. You can use what you normally do. You guys know I do recommend protein bond all the time. So dehydrate the nail with swipe and then go in with 2 coats of protein bond. I just didn't insert that. I generally don't. So I'm applying this color to the center of the nail and fanning up while it's still very liquidy. I'm making sure the tip where I'm applying now is very opaque. And we want to blend it up kind of past where we want the fade because that's where we want to fade. So we want it to have a gradation in color. So we need to bring our neon color higher than what it needs to go, and we're going to bring our cover color lower than what it's supposed to go. So this is what we have. I went through and did all this first just so we don't dirty up our cover pink color. So at this point, I'm going to pour out the liquid that has any pink left in it, clean out my jar with acetone, pour it out, and get new liquid. Again, this is so that the color isn't contaminated, because after working with a bright color, it can be contaminated. You also want to make sure that you wipe out your brush so it doesn't have any of the color in it. And this also, goes with glitter, anything like that. Or you can have a completely different jar, different brush. I don't find that necessary. So I'm taking a bead and starting at the cuticle area and getting as close and as flush to the cuticle area as possible and fading it down. Now I'm going to have to take another bead because that transition isn't smooth and just make it more opaque towards the cuticle area. Got a little something in there. And then go ahead and tap that down. And where we want to transition it, I'm just going to thin out the acrylic and blend it. Now I did this 2 different ways. I did it where I started with the second bead toward a little bit closer to the, yeah, you could see right here. So I started with a bead that was further down the nail, and then I'm going in and blending that out. And then I'm going to go in with another bead that's close to the cuticle area. You can do it either way. If you need more than 2 beads, do that. Of course, we're trying to do this in a timely manner and not use, an abundance of beads. So I'm just really working that acrylic. Now, what you have to consider when you're using cover colors and trying to get an ombre, the thicker or drier the bead, the more opaque it's going to be. The wetter or thinner the bead is, the more translucent it will be in order to see the color underneath or the glitter. So keep that in mind when you're trying to fade the acrylic. So I'm kind of working haphazardly at this point. I'm just putting these second beads and going to go back and put the one towards the cuticle area. I'll just work that way. I like to make things less monotonous and just switch it up. I don't know why. But the process is the same regardless. Now, if you're going to start with a let me say it like this. And whatever you're doing, if you're using a cover color, make sure that you don't leave a harsh line when you're layering your beads. You want to make sure that, because you'll see it like a line of demarcation with makeup. So you want to make sure you don't leave a harsh line if you're going to be putting another bead on top, if that makes sense. Sorry if that doesn't. Because sometimes you'll see exactly where you place that bead, even though you put another bead on top of it. So next I'm going to encapsulate our ombre with clear. Now the reason you want to do this is we took time to perfect this ombre and this fade, so we basically don't want to be able to file it off when we get to that point. So we did all this work, so we're encapsulating it in clear, just like you would a glitter or any type of embellishment you would put inside the nail that you don't want to file away. Now I'm focusing the clear, if you can tell, towards the center of the nail and the tip. The cuticle area has enough thickness, it honestly needs to be filed down some, so we don't need to add the clear there. We're not at risk of messing up the design filing there. The ombre is towards the center of the nail, so we want to make sure we add the clear there. And also the color is thinner, so we're making sure we add some thickness and strength to the free edge portion of the nail as well. So all I'm doing is applying a little bit of monomer to the nail just to make sure it's wet, and that helps kind of reduce air bubbles. And then I'm going in with that clear bead, like I said, applying towards the center and fading down. Now this clip, I tried my best to show you guys how I shape the nails, and it's obviously from my client or my mom's perspective. But you can see how I flip the hand and kind of the positions I put my hand in And so just to give you guys an idea, I tell you it's hard for me to capture. And you can see that the nails look really thick from this perspective. Well, her pointer, because I'm going to take some product off the bottom. That's a whole nother story and video. So look past that and just look at the technique that I use. And again, it's from my mother's perspective or the client's perspective. But I always flip it up. I flip the hand up because I can truly understand how to get the nails level. And it's kind of hard when the hand is facing down towards the ground. Your wrist can be at an angle or twist and not realize. Everybody's anatomy is different, and it's kind of easier for me to gauge the shaping with the hand up. So I shape like this. So next I'm going in with my Poochie's Nails Smooth Top Fine Grit Bit. I know that's a mouthful. And I'm going in and taking down some of the bulk around the cuticle area, as I mentioned, and making the nail smooth, just finish filing the nail. And I'm debulking anything I need to under the nail in case I have some acrylic underneath, especially for the pointer one where I was trying to kind of help with that curvature down. Again, that's a whole nother video, but that's what I'm doing. I'm making sure I taper in the sides and just smoothing this nail out to get it as perfect as possible. Again, concentrating a lot on the towards the cuticle area. And you can see I'm using my thumb to fill the nail. And I use that because I can tell if there's any lumps or bumps or inconsistencies. So you will see me always filling the nail and seeing basically with my thumb where it needs to be filed. So next I'm going in with that crosscut bit. Again, this bit basically takes the place of a sanding band. And in this case, it's taking the place of a buffer, because buffers are, one, costly. I do keep them for certain situations, but you want to buff as close to the cuticle area as possible. And a buffer with that edge can be very uncomfortable to the client and their skin. So this is completely safe. There's no pain. I can get as close to the cuticle area as possible. And it also helps me further flush out the cuticle area. So yeah, next we're at this process. This splatter was a challenge, to say the least. It was messy, and it took me a while, much longer than I portray in this video, to get it going. So I have a few different brushes I'm trying out. I'm using, this is regular nail polish from Color Club. It's French white. It's, again, regular polish. And I'm mixing it with acetone. Now, it's an older polish, so it was a little thick. I'm mixing it with acetone. At this point, like it says, I'm testing out different brushes that I have, because the density, the length of the hairs, different techniques on how to get it to go, and maybe thinning out the color, leaving it thick. That's what I'm doing. And again, I messed up so many times, you guys. So many. There's no way on earth I could have left that footage in here. I left some of it, but yes. So I'm trying one brush and it's just leaving globs. Then I'm flicking it. It's not doing really anything. And yes. So I don't have the answers to it all. But I worked through it, and I figured out what worked for me. So if you're going to be doing this in splatter, it's all going to depend on what product you're using. If you're going to be using like acrylic paint or nail polish, I personally don't think gel polish would be the best to use because of the getting it on the skin and overexposure and things like that. So I just stuck with regular polish, and you can manipulate it a bit easier than gel polish. And you can see I'm messing up, so I'm just wiping it with acetone and trying it again. And you could definitely use like the latex skin barrier if your client's not allergic to latex in order to protect from all the splatters. You'll see in the final pictures, or you probably noticed there was a little paint left on her fingers. It was also really late at night. It took so long to get it right. I gave up on that hand. I was like, let me do the other hand. As if the other hand, I don't even know. So you can see I'm getting these big just drops, and I wanted it to kind of like have this spray or these lines to it, also droplets, but I just couldn't get it. So it was still a matter of me trying a different consistency, because I was like, this is too liquidy, and I allowed it to get thick, and you can see I'm getting those little strings, little fun buddies going on. So yeah, it was best to leave the polish a little thicker with the polish that I use. And instead of me just flicking and keeping it still, I was moving my wrist while I was doing it, like I was throwing something. That's what worked for me. Definitely try it out beforehand and make sure you have a good technique with your own products. I can't give you a special secret recipe because I barely made it on my own time. So, of course, it's regular nail polish, so it just air dries. It's not really thick enough for covering the whole nail that I'm worried about any type of cracking or anything like that. So I'm just applying my gel top coat. I cannot recall what I used in this video, but you guys know I love the Joya Mia top coat. The Ombre gel top coat is good, or whatever your favorite is. So I went ahead and top coated. I top coated all the nails because I wanted to protect that polish before I applied the crystals. So I'm using these two colors, the light rose AB and the Indian pink. I'm using micro beads. We decided to go silver. Personally and honestly, I wish she would have went with gold accents, but she doesn't like gold, so we did it in silver. It's still cute anyway. I just like that neon coral color with the gold. I think it's very beautiful. So I'm going in, and this is the instance that I use a hand buffer. I'm going in and buffing that top coat just to add texture so we can ensure that our stones stick very, very well. So I'm using YoungNails Protein Bond. You guys know I love Protein Bond for any and every step. This it's basically like a double stick tape. It allows for when I do apply the top coat that it doesn't pull away because we're layering one top coat on another. It allows it so it doesn't pull away from the cuticle area. And it also provides another step of an assistance in adhesion from the crystals to the nail with the gel that's going on, because it just helps everything stick. So you can see I'm having continuous problems. Like, I didn't like any of that design that was going on. I'm trying to figure out what went where. So because I'm using a crystal gel, I'm free to move it around how I want. And I love a good crystal gel. I like a regular resin, but you don't really have playtime with a lot of those. Or once it's there, you have to pop it off. The gel glues I recommend are crystal glues, or crystal gel, I mean. I've been using the Daily Charm. I can't remember what it's called. It's the thicker one. I've used Nailed by John Herpes gel. I heard Ugly Duckling Stick It is really well. These are all different gels. If you prefer resin or glue, it's absolutely fine. So I applied the crystals how I wanted them, did the whole design. I cured it in the light, and I'm going in and I'm top coating around it. And then I'll take a fine detail brush and put some more top coat. You always want to top coat over those metal pieces, especially if it's another color besides silver. But either way you want to. You don't want it to change color. So top coat over those metal rings, for sure those beads, never your crystals. Never, ever, ever your crystals. I told you guys a promise to me. Please keep that promise. Don't apply over your crystals. You're going to make it where they don't sparkle. The metal, we don't care about it sparkling. It's not there for that to be reflective. It's there as an accent. So I'm just taking a very tiny brush. I believe this was the Wildflowers magenta brush, possibly. And I'm just going in between those spaces, going over those beads. And now I'm cleaning up her finger. I'm just a whole bunch of acetone going on. It's probably not the best for the dryness of the skin, because, you know, acetone will really do a number on the skin. But, you know, it's my mom. It was late. This is what we did. So I'm just using lint-free white, and I'm cleaning all around her fingers because the splatter got everywhere. And then I'm just going in with a French brush and getting really deep, cleaning in that cuticle area because a lot of that paint got into that crevice. So I'm just going in and cleaning that up really well. And then I also took the skiver bit just to really clean it out in the areas that needed more attention. And applied a whole bunch of cuticle oil because she needed it, and some moisturizer for the hand. And this is our final look. And you guys know I struggled with this one. It's probably why it took me 12 months to put it up. Anyways, you guys, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up. All right, you guys, bye.